We're working with page 110, adding a color gradient. If you continued on with the previous video, that will have taken you through an older version of the lesson. We're on a newer version. There's been an addition made to the gradient tool, and so we are going to be working with the newer version of the gradient tool than was covered in that particular chapter before. There are now 3 types of gradients. If you don't have your gradient panel available, go to Window and select Gradient. And this is the drop down that you're going to see. Now, originally we've always had a linear and a radial gradient, but we've now added a freeform gradient, and I'll show you how these things work. So if I select my object, first of all, I can apply, and I'm going to select a linear gradient to start with, and you can see how this is filled. I can edit my gradient by selecting the editing mode, and that's going to bring up and pre-select for me my gradient tool, which you can also access here in the toolbar. The gradient tool is going to allow you to change the midpoint. You can change the end points where they start and stop. You can also change the colors simply by double clicking, and you can select to either use a color picker, your swatches, or you can select colors just off the slider. You'll have to go in and change that to a CMYK so that you can use that. But that's basically how this works. Now I can hit enter to dismiss that. So it's a nice kind of a thing. We can move this around, we can redraw and change directions and things like that. The radial tool works pretty much the same way. You can change the position of the gradient within the radial. You can actually take this and you can make ellipses. If you get the right hand, there's the turn handle, and you can change directions on it. I just sent this way over to the side, which was not exactly useful. There we go. So there's all kinds of movement and changes that you can do as far as lining this stuff up, just all kinds of recreation that you have the ability to do. If you grab the right handle and the right tool, you can slide this all over the place. So it's a lot of fun to play with. But what we are actually going to want to do with this particular lesson is to work with the freeform. So I'm going to just click on this to change it to a freeform, and I'm going to come up with a couple of extra stops on here. So I'm going to select this one and just hit my delete key because I really don't want that one. And I'm going to take this one and let me see if I can move you. There we go. If I grab it just right, I can move it down and place it in the bottom corner on the left, and we'll be drawing more gradient lines. So what happens with the freeform tool is that you can draw lines or you can put in points, and we're going to use lines, so make sure that lines is the one that's selected, and we're going to color that line. First of all, I'm going to double click on that and get my green swatch and just start with that, and I can hit my enter key to get rid of that. And I'm going to pull my line up in. I'm going to put in a bit of a line up here, and I'm going to click and drag and get another line up towards the top, and if I don't like exactly where I ended up with it, I can pick that point up and slide it and move it. Now I still have this attached line here that I don't want, so I'm going to press my escape tool, and I'm going to press my escape button on my keyboard, and that's going to allow me to turn loose from that line. The next thing that I want to do is to pick up a different color, and a different point. So I'm going to first of all start by placing a new point in the middle bottom of the sail, and I'm going to double click that so that I can pick up the blue swatch, and again I'll press enter to dismiss that. And I'm going to pretty much do the same kind of thing with that line. So here I'm going to put in another point and another point, not on top of that first one because that's really going to be confusing, but right next to it, and that will fill this with the blue. Now I can go back in, reselect that point, and slide that along if I'd like, just as I can go in and I can change the curvature on that first one. But then you probably want to hit escape so that you don't accidentally pick up something else. We're going to do one more of these. If I click in the bottom right hand corner, double click, I'm going to put in the purple, and then I'm just going to hit the enter key again, and again I'm going to put in another couple of lines here and bring this up pretty close there, and there's my gradient going in those three colors. Again, I'm going to hit my escape key, make sure nothing's connected, and I can deselect that, and I have my gradient, and I can save my file. The next thing that I'm going to do is work with editing my global color swatches, and I need to deselect everything on the artboard, and in my swatches panel I'm going to double click the green custom swatch. Now with that swatch selected, I am going to make a change. I'm going to change the color values to cyan 0, magenta to 75, yellow down to 75 or thereabouts. I'm a little sloppy, and please experiment if you feel up to that. And we want a little bit of black in there. You're going to get some kind of a coral or orange color. And when I say OK to that, it's going to change all of the colors that we applied that global swatch to. Selecting the blue and opening that swatch up, I'm going to change that one to a cyan 0, and notice that the name of this color swatch is also changing. Magenta down to 10. We're going to have a very yellow color, and Y all the way up to 100 with no black. Again, I'm going to preview that and say OK, and I have just changed that swatch, and I'm going to do the same thing with my purple. I'm going to change that to a 0 cyan, a magenta of about somewhere around in 60, yellow needs to go up to 100, and black at 0, which is a beautiful orange color. If you want to preview that, you can do that, and there's your changes. Then save that file, and you will be using that file in the next part of this project.